and welcome to all of the friends of the East-West Center and the East-West Center community. And in addition, we welcome the people who are now joining us around the world and across the United States. Our speaker today is Dr. Yi Fuxian. He's a senior scientist at the University of Wisconsin-Madison. Dr. Yi publicly predicted that China's population would shrink before anyone else. And he did this by closely following statistics that China itself produced, but not the national statistics as much as the provincial ones and special ones, such as marriage rates and ages. His book, Big Country with an Empty Nest, was banned in China in 2007. But 6 years later, the Chinese government itself began to promote the book because it followed its then decision to get rid of the one-child policy, which has brought this demographic shrinking to China. China's declining population has been much in the news of late, and no expert has been quoted more often than Dr. Xi. Dr. Xi, it's a great honor to have you today, and the floor is yours.
Okay, it's a great honor and a pleasure for me to have this opportunity to discuss China's demographic crisis. The title of my presentation is "China will struggle to boost the fertility rate." The East Asia have the lowest fertility rate, and for the average fertility rate over the past 20 years was 3.4 in Arab world and 2.6 in India and 1.9 in USA. But 1.0 to 1.1 in Taiwan, Hong Kong, Macau, and Singapore. So this is and why East Asia have the lowest fertility rate in the world? First, the modern social economy bring great shock to confuse family value, and especially the family security is replaced by the social security. That's a big problem for Asian country. And also the second, the confused region, the overemphasis on the education, and this is right that in the increase the cost of the education and reduce the parents' ability, and also delay the marriage and the childbearing age. If get married and 20 years old, then it's very easy to get pregnant. But if get married and 30 years old, it's very hard to get pregnancy. And also, in East Asia, have longest life expectancy. They have a negative correlation between health and fertility rate. And also, the longest life expectancy means that is severe age crisis, and will reduce the parents' ability. So, and third, the confuse the higher urban population density in East Asia can result in the house price is very high and living pressure is very high. And in addition to the region, the common to other confused region, China's one-child policy has reshaped the economy and also altered the Chinese concept of the fertility. Japan's effort to boost the fertility rate faces three challenges. Physiologically, traditional family value was undermined by the modern social economy, so the fertility intention is very low in Japan. And psychologically, Japan have later marriage and childbirth, so the infertility rate is very high. And economically, the parent cost in Japan is very high. And Japan's policy is only trying to address the economic issue. For example, reduce the school fee and provide the convenient child care and childbirth subsidy and health benefit. So that is Japan's policy is very expensive but inefficient. So Japan wanted to increase the fertility rate from 1.26 in 2005 to 1.45 in 2015. Then come back to 1.27 and last year. So China get old before it's getting rich. So China even doesn't have enough financial resource to follow Japan's path. So China's one-child policy reduces the family size and also demand. So that which lead to an increased powerful government. So the China's household it is part of income accounted for 62% in 1983, but only 44% now. So which is such and for other countries, they usually account about 60 to 70%. Because China, it is part of income is so low, so the Chinese family cannot support to have 2 children. So the 2-child policy and 3-child policy all has failed to boost the fertility rate. And the Chinese government is very powerful because the Chinese family is so weak. So government is so powerful. So the Chinese government is also tolerant at home and aggressive abroad. China government is able to initiate the Belt and Road. But if China increase it support the income for the 60 to 70% GDP, that is good for to boost the fertility rate, but we reduce the government power. So the government maybe don't want to do this. And in China city is very crowded because facing food shortage in 1980. China introduced the one-child policy to control population. China also set the red line for arable land. Right now, about 2/3 of Chinese people right now live in city. But the urban area only account for 0.8% of the land area. So that may make the overall population that lead to urban population density is about 4 to 10 times that of America. So ironically, China is abandoned arable land is about 7 times of the urban land. So China actually have enough land for city, but because wrong policy introduced the one-child policy, and also set the wrong red line for arable land. Because China's one-child policy reduce the family size and the demand. So China's saving rate is highest in the world. So because don't have other option. So mainly the much of Chinese saving is went to property. Also because China don't have a property tax in China. So there many people buy many house because they think their house price will increase. They buy many house. So And also because the local government, the financing is highly dependent on the land sale. So the government want to keep the land price at high price. Also because China the city the higher urban public density. So all together, so China's housing price is very, very high. So even Chinese county, the public density even is more density than the downtown New York. So the Chinese city, the housing price is very high. For example, in Shanghai, the housing price is 22 times of annual income, and in Shenzhen, the house price is 25 times of the annual income. So because Chinese, for example, in New York, even downtown New York, average the public density is much lower than Chinese city. So that problem is electrify the city in China is there impossible. So the public density cannot reduce. So China's government cannot boost it because the house is too expensive and the land, the urban public density is too high. And China, the housing value is about 4 times of GDP. And in America is only 1.6 times GDP, and in Japan is only 2.1%, 2.1 times GDP. So China, if China the housing bubble doesn't burst, then young couple cannot afford to raise 2 children, and the fertility rate will remain low. But if the housing bubble bursts, then China's economy will slow down, which will trigger government debt crisis and also a global financial crisis. And if China's economy going down, then people cannot support the children, then fertility will going down. So China have a big problem. And China's labor force aged 15 to 59 years old began to shrink in 2012. So lead a low economic growth and low parents capacity. So also further the fertility rate will continue going down during last few years. So China's new premier Li Chang and Simmons wanted to make up a shrink workforce by improve the education to rapid talent dividend. But as Japan's experience show, as the education improved, the few young people wanted to work in manufacture. Then we lead a decline in manufacture section. So under the mass disaster, the consequence of the pay too much for the education is to reduce the fertility rate as for China. So and also China, if China government wanted to, if China was to improve China's economy perspective, China government needed to raise the retirement age. But the retirement age right now is in China is for men is only 60 years old. And for women, for white collar is 55 years old, and for blue collar is 50 years old. But in the future, because China, the age problem is much severe than the UK and the America and than any other country. So in the future, China government need to raise the retirement age to more than 70. but that's a big problem because if raise the retirement age, that will spark the protest. For example, in UK in 2011, they delayed the women's retirement age from 60 to 65. Then about 2 million people protest. And this year in France, they raised the retirement age from 62 to 64. About a few million people protest. So China, if China in the future have a bigger problem, if China don't raise the retirement age right now, so in the future we have a bigger social crisis. But right now, because China the job, China the environment is highly dependent on export. If China raises the retirement age, maybe can increase or employee rate. So that's a bigger problem. So right now, but if don't change in the future, have a bigger problem. So as the material age increase, the likelihood of getting pregnancy decrease, as the likelihood of infertility and the miscarriage increase. So China's infertility rate has increased from 2% in 1980 to 18% in 2020. It's because the lifestyle change and also become a delay in marriage and childbearing age. And the average age for first marriage in China for Chinese women have increased from 23 in 1980 to 24 in 2010 and to 29 in 2020, and we continue increase. That means China's fertility rate will continue going down. So and for the East Asia, the over emphasis for education. So these delayed the marriage age. So and also the change the fertility behavior and reduce the fertility intention. So Japan and South Korea and Taiwan have a highest tertiary gross enrollment ratio in the world, and also have a lowest fertility rate. And China's economy will continue improve around the same path and South Korea and Taiwan. So in the future, so China's fertility rate will continue going down. So the contraceptive prevalence is negatively correlated with the fertility rate. And because 3 decades one-child policy has made China the highest China's country with the highest contraceptive prevalence in the world. So the contraception has become a difficult habit for Chinese people to change. So that cannot change. China's contraceptive prevalence is, I think, is highest in the world. So that is difficult to change. And in South Korea and Hong Kong, the intended number for children was only as 1.29 in South Korea and 1.41 in Hong Kong. But the actually fertility rate in 2022 was only 0.78 in South Korea and 0.70 in Hong Kong. And the intended number of children and in China is only 1.46 on average, and only 1.54 for women born in 1990s. And the number is only 1.48 for women born in the 2000s. That means in the future, China's fertility rate will be lower than 0.8. So, and in 2022, China have 7 provinces, the fertility have already below 0.8. And in America, the fertility rate is right now is still continue going down. Decline from 2.1, then 2.6, 2.1 in 2007, then declined to 1.65 and in last year. So in the future, American fertility rate will decline along China's old path with a lag of 7 decades. So America also have big problem in the future. Because the local government have a very strong incentive to enforce the one-child policy, because they can get the fare from a family. Also, they can avoid the birth of illegal pregnancy by forced abortion. So the one-child policy in China in last for more than 3 decades, very, very efficient. But encourage childbearing on the other side, they need the local government to range the abandoned children. Also need the local government to increase the children welfare and increase the child care, the education, and childbirth subsidy, and also needed to provide the housing benefit to young couple, and needed to provide the maternity and paternity leave, so that we increase government debt. Also, the global government right now have a little problem, because age reduce the economic growth. Right now, China government have local government have a big problem for that. So if encourage childbearing, the government cannot support. So also the children cannot become a taxpayer until 20 years old. But the local official they want to save for a few years. So the local officials don't have a incentive to encourage childbearing. So I think the coercive measure is violation of the preventive right and freedom, and is equivalent to powering up suddenly to help grow. That can reduce the fertility intentions, also can reduce the marriage rate. Actually, the first marriage in China have fell by half between 2013 to 2021, and the marriage among the 20 to 29 years old fell by 60% from the 2013 to 2021. So if China in the future, China uses some coercive measures to encourage people to have a baby, maybe the marriage will continue going down. So I don't think China government will force the birth of fertility, because one-child policy is very efficient, but to birth it encourage people to have babies, that is very difficult. China government cannot cure the infertility. That is very expensive and is not very efficient. It's not efficient because MMD allow that is very hard, because if a woman get married at the first marriage to 30 years old, then many people will lose the ability to get pregnant. And the China government cannot force early marriage at the childbirth. And also China government cannot ban contraception. Before 1965, the contraception was illegal in America, but it was widely used. So even China ban contraception, people can find a way to ban the contraception. I don't think China is so stupid to ban contraception. And also, China government cannot restrict abortion as strict as America, because in America only a few clinics can perform abortion, but in China, even township hospital can perform abortion illegally, because China wanted policy maintaining so many MD. So the abortion is very easy for Chinese doctor. So for the selective abortion have to be always illegal in China, but it's very common in China. So China have very high sex ratio at birth. So if China banned abortion, the local hospital can do it very easily. That is take the so I don't think China's abortion restriction as strict as America. But the possibility of coercive measure by local government cannot rule out, especially in Shandong province. Shandong province always overemphasis policy. But I think for the totally, I think more likely to just inflate the number of births. They can get more birth subsidy funding from the city government. Also, they can claim the political performance. So that is more easy than force people to have a baby. Just it changes the number. It's more easy for them. So the United Nations estimate and the projection of China's population have been widely wrong every time without exception, because for 1992, 1996 to 2022, the number, the projection kept lowering, become the decrease, but it's still too high. So the China the real population is located 1.43 billion as announced by United Nations, but less than 1.28 billion. China will struggle to stabilize the fertility at 0.8, and the population will fall below 1.28 billion by 2050, and 310 million by 2100. If China is lucky enough to stabilize the fertility rate at 1.1, that's very difficult for China. Then the population will likely fall to 1.08 billion by 2050, and 440 million by 2100. China's share of the world population, which declined from 37% in 1820 to 20% in 1950 and 1980, and we fall to 11% to 2050 and 3 to 4% in 2100. So to avoid population and civilization collapse, a paradigm revolution is needed in policy. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much, Dr. Shi. That was fascinating. And I think it's topics like this always interest me, because there's this sense often in the West that, autocratic regimes like China, they can fix problems, because they don't have to worry about messy democracy. And Xi Jinping is the paramount leader, so he is all powerful, maybe all omniscient as well. But your presentation demonstrates that there are many, many problems that all countries face. that don't have the sort of simple solutions that can fix them. And with China, the dilemmas, I think, that you described, the housing dilemma, the education/productivity dilemma, the pension dilemma, the whole problem with local government. Anyway, to me, it's just a remarkable demonstration of the limitations of power, even people who are trying to do the right thing.
Yeah. It's very, very hard for China government to address the problem. Either China government is to have the problem. Yeah. It's very hard for them to address the problem.
Yeah. Well, in fact, you seem to demonstrate that there is no way to address the problem. I mean, you can't coerce people to have more children. I suppose over time, it may be possible that they could raise the pension rates. Actually, one of the questions I had for you was, I saw a figure somewhere. How many workers are there now in China for each retired person?
And for every for elderly, the oldest is 65 years old. In 2020, they have 5 workforce support 1 elderly, but by 2035, only 2.4 workforce. By 2050, only 1.5. So in the future, have a big problem for the retirement, for the social security. Social security have big problem.
Yeah. By the way, we encourage people to ask questions, but we ask you to do it through the chat function at the bottom of the Zoom screen. One other thing that I don't think you mentioned, but which I've found fascinating, is the mismatch between men and women of reproductive age in China, because of some of the bad results of the one-child policy, with people favoring a male child as opposed to a female child. What's the mismatch now in the key fertility group?
Yeah. So China before 1980, China the sixth ratio at birth is normal. It's about 106 boy for every 100 girl. But after the one-child policy, the ratio increased dramatically to 120 in 2000 and 2010. Even China they changed two-child policy. The ratio and in last year still 111 boy for every girl. So in the future have 40 million bachelor. But right now China boy rather get married. They need to pay so many money for girls' parents, so they don't have enough money to raise children. So that is also the marriage become very expensive for Chinese boy. So that is all reason the fertility is going down.
Yeah. Sorry. So the 30 million now, more women than men than women in the key reproductive ages. Is that right? Right
now is not so many, but in the future, maybe right now maybe 20 million something, but in the future is 4 million. 4 million is actual bachelor.
Something you mentioned early on in your talk about abandoned arable land equals several times urban land. I didn't quite understand what that meant.
Because of many land and in China in the countryside, because don't have enough the labor force to work on the arable land. For example, for my hometown. My hometown, more than half the arable land, nobody take care. So that is because in countryside, so many abandoned land before, and land also before, because in south of China, before the aqueduct land can have two seasons, plants, but right now only one season. Before have two seasons, only one season. So the arable land is bigger, is very common in China, the countryside, and especially in some poor area.
Yeah, and not very, and then there are the water issues as well. Stahl has asked, do you have any suggestions as to how they might deal with some of these problems? And you know, the way we deal with the problem is we have immigration. Do you see any possibility that China might have more liberal immigration policies to solve this issue?
Immigration. Yeah, I don't think immigration can solve China problem. Also for America, immigration also is only a small percent. America have better population structure. It's not because of immigration. It's just because America have a higher fertility rate than Canada, than Europe. But for China, have a big problem because China the political cannot deal with the immigration. Because even China government to deal with to manage the immigration need a very high scale governments. China government don't have such ability. Also, China's economy is much worse than America. China's income is much lower than America. So China don't have the ability to attract the immigrant. Also, China's age problem is so big, so severe. You cannot depend on immigrant. The immigrant they need to get money. If China get old, get poor, nobody wanted to move to China.
Yeah, but I mean, there's still, older people have children that make money, so they might be willing to have someone from Bangladesh come to Shanghai and the way they do it in Hong Kong, for instance.
Yeah.
But you don't think that's feasible?
I don't think so, because China government don't have such ability to manage the immigrants. Also, they don't want to immigrate. They don't have idea. Don't have how to deal with this problem.
No, it's similar to Japan, of course. Where their solution seems to be to come up with new robots to take care of old people, but the robots don't make any money. So I mean, I think one of your key points is that all developing countries seek to get rich before they get old.
Yeah.
And Japan got rich before it got old. Korea got rich before it got old. And China is still stuck in this middle income trap. And some of their economic policies have certainly exacerbated that. You can cover up some of your problems if you have money, but if you don't have money, then there's not much you can do about it, I guess. Yeah. So when do you think this will begin to have an impact on the economy? The declining population. I mean, it's still some ways off, I would think.
Actually, in 2004, I read an article. I project China's economy will begin to decline. Economic growth will begin to decline in 2012. Because in 1979, China's open up the economic reform. China's economic growth and average 10% between 1979 to 2011. So many people believe such growth will continue for decades. In the future, China's economy will become even double, even triple the size of America. But in 2004, I projected 2012 we become a 10 point for China economy. But then economists nobody believe in me because my projection is based on the labor force, because China the labor force begin to decline in 2012. So China from 2012 the economic growth slowed down to, from 2011 to 2011 China is 9.6%. But in 2015, 7%. In 2019, 6%. And for last year, only 3%. Maybe partially it's become COVID. But even low COVID, maybe only 4% something. And this year, maybe 5%, 6%. But in the future, about in 2031 to 2035, China will be worse than America. Then our population data they indicate, and so it means that time China's economy growth rate will begin to lower than America. So China's economy size cannot surpass America. Before, many people say what is for China surpass America, but number one economy. But I don't think so. And right now, China's demographic structure is very similar to Japan. Japan is in 1992, but 20 years later, China's structure, the age structure, very similar to Japan's 2020. So China's economy growth rate will continue going down.
Yeah, and also compared to Japan, they have many of the similar, housing bubble issues and too much debt. Yeah, I mean, one of the main keys to moving from being out of the middle income trap is to have your workforce be more productive, and because in the this is a very standard way of in development economics of boosting production. You add more inputs, but it's the efficiency of the inputs that matter. And so they used to be able to just bring in all of the workers from the countryside who were in very low productive realms, like agriculture. And but once you run out of that supply, then there's no that input. Then your output will not increase unless you've become more efficient in the way you run your economy.
Yeah, so that is if bring more people from the countryside to the city, that's already done. Because right now China's the average rate is about 70%. So many people in countryside is older people, is elderly. For example, in my hometown, it's very hard to find people younger than 50 years old, or 60 years old, 70 years old. So that people cannot move to the city because it's too old, cannot find a job. So and also China maybe with the labor force become old. For example, the farm worker in China in 2008, the average age is 34 years old, but right now it's 43 years old. The age change, so the productivity actually is going down, it's only going up. And also for China's labor productivity rate, it's not increase, it's going down. So then government believe will change, will increase the productivity, but actually it's not increase, it's decrease.
Yeah. Stahl has another interesting question about the disparity between men and women, in the female and male birth rates. Is this largely a cultural thing that that some in Confucian societies you need a male heir to sweep your tomb and that sort of thing and take care of you? Is that at the end of the day what caused this imbalance?
No, actually, China's women's social standing is very high. Is very high, and also the employee rate is much higher than other countries. It's just very China's women the labor for the participation rate is similar to America, even higher than many countries, many developed countries. So and for compared for other area, maybe for the and Japan and South Korea maybe have some, but in China low.
No, but I mean, when during the one-child policy, if you could only have one child, many people preferred to have a boy than a girl for cultural reasons, no? Or
look, that is many people believe confused area will perform a boy and a girl. Actually, even in America, the Gallup in America they conduct 11 times survey from 1941 to 2011, 7 times in America. If American family can only have one child, many people, especially American men, prefer to have a boy. That is the same as China. But because America don't have one child policy, but in China have some test area in Shanxi Eastern County, and many China have 8 million people. They have 2 children. That in that 8 million people area, the sex ratio is normal. So it's a one child policy. To change is a little because it confuse culture.
Asks about this excess male problem, which has been written about, as I'm sure you know, in many places, and whether or not that might increase the possibility of a war, that China might be more belligerent or politically be forced to do something to even out this imbalance.
Right now, they have input some young women, maybe they get married in other countries, in neighboring countries, for the Laos and Vietnam, and some countries, but that number is small percentage. Because even many boys cannot find a wife. They don't care. Because right now they have many robots, have some movies, some other things. Even they don't want to get married. They have some sex tool. So even don't have enough women, but also don't want to get married. That's a problem. That also is a big problem.
I'll close with one last question. Has an interesting way to sum this up. She says, I agree that intertwined dilemmas make the issue even harder to solve. But if you were in charge of the Chinese government, what would your priority be in terms of trying to, fix this very, very complicated issue?
I think the most important to increase the household disposable income from 44% to 6%. That is a big change because right now the household disposable income only 44% GDP. The family even cannot support one child. So if the money don't have money, they don't have ability. But if change, if increase the household the family income, then government don't have money. So the government maybe will become more nicely to people. Because right now, government is very powerful. They don't care about the people. But if the government don't have money, maybe they will be nice to people. Also, the people have money support children. The government will be nice to people. I think if I take the policy, the first thing is needed to address this problem.
Mhm.
And
Yeah, I
also, if China government don't have so powerful, China also have better relationship with America, with other countries, because China government don't is so powerful.
Right.
If too powerful, then we become aggressive.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's, they've been talking about this dual circulation and trying to make it more consumer oriented and stuff, but they've never really quite followed through. Anyway, I thank you for taking the time, for putting all that effort into the presentation, and for dealing with our questions. And as I've said before, I look forward to staying in touch with you, and I hope we can collaborate again. And,
Okay, that's great.
Anyway, so thank you very much.